We are getting ready to go into our reading lesson. We're going to take some time to review some skills that we looked at from our first 9 weeks, but need some extra practice with. And that skill is main idea. We're going to practice main idea by looking at some thematic or time appropriate material that ties in with our unit on Native Americans and also ties in our national holiday of Thanksgiving that's coming up as well. So we are going to look at something called the Plymouth story. And this is the origins of the Thanksgiving holiday. And it has a focus again on our Native American cultures that we have been reviewing and looking at. So on Seesaw, you have an activity. You do not need to go to it yet because first we're going to take a moment to look at some teaching videos. But that activity is called Main Idea, the Plymouth Story. We're going to watch a teaching video in the example slides, and on slide 2, you're going to click a link to go to Scholastic News. We will read the Plymouth story together. You are going to identify the main idea and type the main idea on the graphic organizer in slide 3. We'll do that in some breakout rooms. Then for your independent work today, you're going to identify 3 key details that support the main idea your group comes up with. Those details will be on the graphic organizer. And then as an optional extension, you have the opportunity to look at some videos from Scholastic News looking at the Plymouth story. And as always, you'll reflect on your success for today. I do not want you working ahead, as always, because it doesn't make sense, but also because there are very specific directions to get to this website. And if you try to do it on your own, I'm afraid you might lock yourself out. Okay, so please wait. Do not try to click ahead and stay with us. And we'll get started. Okay, so looking at main idea with the Plymouth story. As I shared, we are reviewing the skill of main idea. This is a skill that we started to practice the first 9 weeks, and we are continuing to develop this 9 weeks. You will determine the main idea of a text, which tells what it is mostly about. You will also find the key details and explain how they support the main idea. So the details that you find should be connected to what the text is mostly about. Here is our teaching video from Mrs. Renaway.
Hi, 3rd grade. This is Mrs. Renaway. Today we're going to study the main idea of a text, and we're going to find key details in the text that explain and support the main idea. How do you find the main idea of a text? Here are some clues. Ask yourself, what did I just read about? Look at the title. Look at the pictures. Look for clue words that are used repeatedly. And read the first and last sentences of paragraphs or the text. So here's an example. This text is called the Arctic Fox. An Arctic fox has many adaptations that help it live in the cold climate. It has a thick fur coat that is brown in the summer and white in the winter to help it blend into the snow. The Arctic fox also has fur on the bottom of its paws to help it walk on the ice. The Arctic fox also has great hearing. It can hear small animals moving under the snow. Then it jumps towards the animal and punches through the snow to grab its prey. My job today is to find the main idea of the text. Well, I'm going to start by looking at the title, the topic sentence, and words that are repeated. I have seen the word has repeated throughout the text because this text is talking about what the Arctic fox has. My topic sentence tells me it has adaptations that help it live in the cold climate. So my main idea, I need to write it in my own words and put it on my graphic organizer. The Arctic fox has tools that help it live in the cold? Now I have my main idea. My next job is to look for supporting details. These are things in the text that tell me more about the main idea, that help explain the main idea. Well, if my main idea is that the Arctic fox has tools that help it live in the cold, I need to find examples and details about the tools and adaptations the fox has. I remember reading that it has white fur in the winter to help it blend into the snow. I have highlighted my detail, and now I can type it on my graphic organizer. It has white fur to help it blend in. I remember learning about this as a type of camouflage. Okay, now I have one detail. Let's see what other details we can find that help explain how the Arctic fox has tools that help it live in the cold. I see it has great hearing. How does that connect to helping it live in the cold? If I keep reading, I see my detail that says its hearing can help it find small animals under the snow. Okay, this explains my main idea, so I can use it as a detail. The fox hears animals moving under the snow. Awesome. Today, boys and girls, you are going to do this very same job, but you're going to be reading a text called The Plymouth Story. The text is on Scholastic News, and you will find the main idea and 3 key details.
All right. So we're going to look, as Ms. Renole shared, at our text on our Plymouth story.
Hi, third grade.
Sorry, got to get out of there. Today to find the main idea of this text. Here is the example that Ms. Renole shared if you want an example of main idea and details that she found. But remember, that will not make sense for you to write for what we're doing today because those are about Arctic foxes, not what we're going to be reading. Okay, so on Seesaw right now, I am going to have you get ready to look at what you are going to do. Okay, so I want you to look at me first because there are very specific directions. All right. When you go on to your add response button, you're going to see your success criteria. On slide 2, you are going to see here is the link to today's text. You cannot just go start clicking on this text. You have to look at these directions. So you're going to click the link and it's going to bring you to a page that says log in. You're going to click on log in. You're going to select that you're a student and you're going to log in with Google Classroom. Okay, so yes, I know it says you have to log in and subscribe. You do not have to subscribe. You do not have to pay for a membership. The school already paid for your membership through Google Classroom. Okay, so click log in, click student, click on Google Classroom, and then you'll log in your regular way with your student ID. Okay, so I'm going to show you a short video of how to log in so that you can see it, and then we'll do it.
Hey, third grade. I'm going to give you a review of how to sign in to Scholastic News to read the article. You're going to click on the link for the article, and then you are going to click to log in. You are going to click I'm a student, and then at the bottom of this page, you will have the option to sign in with Google Classroom. Click to do that. And then sign in. You will need to sign into your portal. And then you should be all set and signed in to Scholastic News.
Okay, so you'll have to click on
Here we have
then it goes into the article. So you're going to have to click on the fact that you are going to log in with Google Classroom and it will work. Okay, so again, I'll click on the link. It's going to tell me that I have to subscribe or log in. You have to log in. We've already got your membership. You are a student, so you're going to click on that. And then you will click on sign in with Google Classroom. And boom, your account will pull up, okay? If you already have your name preloaded, you don't have to type the 00 number. You can just click on your name and it will bring you right here, okay? So go ahead and get logged into that website now. All right, there we go, we're all muted. Okay, so on the Plymouth story, we're gonna take a moment to read through this text. You are going to be thinking about what it is mostly about. So what is this text teaching you? What is it mostly about? If you should need to read this on your own independently later, there is a text-to-speech option.
This article was prepared in consultation with Derek.
That can read it to you normal or slow-paced, so feel free to use that tool as well. We're going to take a look at the Plymouth story. Please follow along with me on your screen. The Pilgrims are famous for building a settlement called Plymouth. But do you know the whole story? Imagine this. It's fall of 1620. That is 400 years ago, people. Months ago, you left your home in England and boarded a ship with your parents and other pilgrims. Soon, you'll step ashore in a new land. You wonder, what will it take to survive? Now, picture the scene from a different point of view. You're a member of a Native American community called the Wampanoag. You're on a beach scraping out a log to make a mashoon or canoe. You see a ship sailing toward your shore. You wonder, who are these newcomers? 400 years ago, the Pilgrims arrived in what is now Massachusetts and built a settlement they called Plymouth. The tale of the Pilgrims and Native Americans they met is a famous chapter in American history. Okay, so far it's talked to me about the Pilgrims and coming to a new land, and it's talked to me about the Native Americans seeing people come to their new land. Let's continue on with a long journey. The Pilgrims were 102 men, women, and children who left England to find religious freedom. In September of 1620, they set sail for America on the Mayflower. The trip was hard. Storms raged and many passengers got seasick. In November, the ship reached America, but huge challenges were still ahead. Winter was on the way, and there was little time to build shelter. The Pilgrims were also running out of food. It was too cold to plant crops. Here you can see a map of the journey that they made from Europe to the New Americas. We're going to scroll down to continue reading the text to the help arrives. So we've heard about the Pilgrims' trouble. They're running out of food. They don't have shelter. Let's see who comes to help them. The Pilgrims' first winter was difficult. Half the people died, says history expert Nathaniel Philbrick. But help would soon come from the Wampanoag. The Wampanoag weren't sure what to think about the Pilgrims. In the past, English explorers had forced some Wampanoag into slavery. Explorers had also spread deadly diseases. But in March of 1621, the Wampanoag formed an alliance with the Pilgrims. A Wampanoag man named Tisquantum helped the two groups communicate. Years earlier, Tisquantum had been kidnapped by explorers and enslaved in Europe. He had learned to speak English before returning to his homeland. Okay, so we have a Native American group coming in to help the settlers. Let's scroll down to a reason to celebrate. The two groups traded, and Tisquantum taught the pilgrims to plant corn. He even shared a Wampanoag tip, putting dead fish in the soil to help plants grow. Plymouth soon had a successful harvest. In the fall of 1621, the two groups met for a feast. Many people call it the first Thanksgiving. This is some information about the Wampanoag tribe and some background knowledge of their language and their culture. Feel free to read that later. This is what our text was about, or what our text read. You are getting ready to talk with your breakout room and determine the main idea of the text. So on Seesaw, on slide 3, you have a main idea graphic organizer. Your job right now with your breakout room is to type the main idea. What did you just read about? Don't worry about the details yet. I just want you to focus on the main idea. What was this text mostly about? Questions on what you're getting ready to do? Okay, awesome. Here come your answers. I want you to remember that there can be multiple main ideas for a text, as long as you have details that can support it. The main idea that I identified is here. When the Pilgrims came to the Americas, they were unprepared, but Native Americans taught them ways to survive. So when I was reading, I read about Pilgrims, I read about Native Americans, so I included them. I also read about how the Pilgrims were in trouble and the Native Americans taught them things, like how to build shelters, how to plant crops, how to use dead fish as fertilizer. So there were things that they taught to help them survive. So this is my main idea. It's okay if you have a different main idea, as long as you can support it with details from the text. And that is what your independent work today is going to be. So when we click on View Instructions, we have done 1 through 4. We've watched the teaching videos, we've looked at the link, we've read the story, and we've identified the main idea. You are going to complete 5 through 8 as independent work. You will identify 3 key details that support the main idea that your group came up with. Where it says optional on View Videos on our text from Scholastic News, when you go to Scholastic News and you scroll up here, there are some different links to videos. I think it's in the map. Nope, that's the picture. Where's it at? There we go, down here. There are some videos that you can watch to build background knowledge about the Native Americans and Pilgrims. I'd like to strongly recommend that you look at these videos, even if you'd like to look at them before you complete your work to give yourself a more solid understanding, okay? So the videos are there, and then you will also reflect on your success by using the microphone, and you'll click the check to turn it in. So on slide 4, you are asked to share whether you were successful or not, and you are asked to use the microphone to record yourself. Remember, our success criteria is not, I was successful because it was easy. I was not successful because I don't like reading. That's not matching up with our success criteria. I should hear the vocabulary words like topic, main idea, recount, key details. I should hear you saying what you did or did not do, what part you could do. I could figure out the main idea. I was not successful because it was hard for me to find the key details. So you're being specific. It's not just, it was easy, it was hard, I liked it, I didn't. You are using vocabulary and tasks to explain whether or not you were successful.